Well, you know, we got past it and worked it, man. He was focused and wanted to get into it, so we worked it. And, you know, I'm sure at that time for him, and he'll say it himself, it definitely was a culture shock because it was a different thing. Like you said, someone coming from a solo artist and then to come in and be in a group that is so regiment the way that was and rehearsals the way it was. But it all paid off for him, though.
Okay, it definitely did, because Heartbreak, best-selling New Edition album today, I believe, it went double platinum, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the hits such as the classic, If It Isn't Love. Now, I got to say this while we're on If It Isn't Love. Look, the party's over. It's been a long vacation, and your fans are waiting to see you again. And you guys all know how you look in rehearsal. It's how you come across on stage. Now, let's do it one more time from the top, and let's get busy. You know I had to pull that line in there. Now, I want to know this. Who was the guy in the car that Rick was looking at in the window of the If It Isn't Love video?
In the car, Lusky, Rick's friend.
Okay, it was Lusky, the dancer from Soul Train.
Yes.
And he was primarily in pretty much all the New Edition videos, My Secret. He was in the Any Heartbreak video. Now, with that video, how did you guys manage to get all those who's who names of celebrities in that video that Malcolm Jamal Warner of The Cosby Show directed?
Oh, that was easy. We just, you know, put out that we were doing a video, invited folks up, and all those people were true fans of New Edition also.
Okay. Now, coming off of Heartbreak, they had a big success with, like I said, hits such as If It Isn't Love, You're Not My Kind of Girl, Any Heartbreak, Crucial, and the Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis classic ballad, Can You Stand the Rain, which was covered by Guy Sebastian, first season winner of Australian Idol, which is the equivalent to American Idol. What was that time period like coming off of Heartbreak and them going solo, Ralph Tresvant, Johnny Gill, and BBD?
It was perfect. It was time to do that. It was time to show the other aspects of what the whole family held. So it was a perfect time, and everybody's thing was successful also. So it was a great time. Okay, and at that time, Bobby, of course, was doing this thing with Don't Be Cruel. And I noticed that you guys, they were on the same bill with the Heartbreak tour, where it was New Edition, Bobby Brown, Keith Sweat, and I'll Be Sure. Right.
Right. So what was that?
That was a big tour too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a real good tour, and Bobby was doing his thing. He was finally coming across the way he wanted to come across, and his album, of course, was just no words can explain that one.
You know, one tour I really would love to see back in the day with New Edition paired with somebody. You want to know who that is?
Who is it?
I would have liked to see New Edition and Troop on tour.
Yeah, that'd be a hard tour.
Yeah, because, you know, Troop came out.
It's doable because, you know, Troop still, they still perform themselves, and I've always been a great fan of that group.
Okay, so it was like everybody, it was like New Edition and Troop had respect for each other, because I interviewed Alan McNeil of Troop back in March of '05. He was talking about how when Troop got started, they did Cool It Now on Put It on the Hits and won, and they were big New Edition fans, and New Edition was a big influence for Troop.
Yeah, and no doubt, and New Edition became a big fan of theirs too. I mean, they're a very big, strong group, and like I said, they still keep performing, which, you know, they're doing their thing and they haven't stopped.
Now, the solo period. BBD came out the box with Poison, Monster Smash. Explain that period.
Poison was just that. It was a monster smash. I don't know if I can really explain it to you, but it just was the right timing, the right song, the right beat, the right chemistry, and it just blew through the roof.
Yeah, and still today, club DJs, Poison is the de facto old school joint to go to. You have kids my age. I'm 21, who was little kids or babies doing any solo peak and group years, and they still react and dance to Poison like it just came out. Once you hear that,
It's definitely that. I mean, we still at this point, the last tour the guys have been doing this last year, they've still been closing with Poison at this point. It's just such a big party song, and people know every lyric. They sing it loud. It's just one of those ones.
Okay. Then from BBD, Ralph Tresvant and Johnny Gill had success with Sensitivity and Rub You the Right Way. Then Michael Bivins went and did Biv 10, which he had MC Brains, ABC, and the prize pupil of the label, Boys to Men.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the biggest selling boy bands, Boys to Men. And, you know, Mike was one of the first ones of those Puffies and
yeah.
Jermaine Dupri's. He's done it first, you know, and he's still working at that stuff. It's just he's been focused into the New Edition world and now getting ready to get back into that side of it, too. But that was a big era and a big part of music history, too, back then.
Now, 1991 MTV Video Music Awards. It was the first time prior to 1996 Home Again where you had all 6 original members on stage. Now, what was that performance like? Where it was the first time all 6 of them were on stage?
Well, why don't you explain what it was like when you seen it?
Well, I've seen it recently, and like I was only 6 at the time, and for me it was like wow. All 6 members on stage, and it was like the biggest performance of that award show, and I believe they had the longest stage time out of any act that performed on the VMAs ever, because it was like over 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you know, we went in asking for that because of the fact that for them to do it and come across the way that New Edition needed to come across, we needed that much time to be able to show what they really do, and that was the most important thing. And whenever they hit stage as the 6 of them, it's always magical.
Now, 1996, Home Again, debut #1 R&B and pop, Hit Me Off, big single, but we also saw in the behind the music there was some stuff going on during the tour, you know, and that'll be in more detail when the book and the movie come out, correct?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, one thing I can tell you is that coming back to that period was everyone coming back off their solo pieces. So when you come back off your solo pieces and you're used to what you're doing solo and what your entourage is doing and so on and so forth, and you got to now come back into the regimen of what the group does, then yeah, that was a hard time right then for everybody to fall back in and sync to how it used to be opposed to where they was. But yeah, it'll get more detailed in the movie and the book.
And also, would it be more detailed with the whole Bad Boy situation with the One Love album?
Oh yeah, all trust me, what you're gonna get in 2008 is the real story on New Edition on what most people don't know. You know, I'm just glad and that we're all blessed that it's all been moving the way it's moving and it's continuing to move the way it is. But yes, it hasn't been as easy as it's been on First Street, but part of the biggest thing is just that it's been always protected, you know, just like you grew up in your home and your mom tells you what happens in your home stays in your home. When you get to a certain point, like when you grow up and you got your own home, you know, sometimes you have to be able to spread the stories that happen just so the children behind you can watch out for that. And that's where the book and the movie is, and that's why they want to put that out, just for, you know, their fans and new artists to come up behind them to be aware of some of the stuff they go through.
Now, with the BET 25 special, when I saw New Edition perform, for me, it was the equivalent of seeing the Jacksons performing on Motown 25. That's how big that performance was for me.
And I think so for a lot of fans. I think that's what it was for their generation, for New Edition's generation, was their Motown 25th. You know, and it came across like that, and that's what they were trying to do for the group, and it was successful.